should. Oh, he can see it in the air. Hey,
Friday
and
night
we're on the air.
fight, or a Friday night fight, May and June 2019. Man, I better turn in. I like that. I love those guys.
It just so happens you are a panelist on this.
I am. Oh,
Mhm.
nobody told me. Oh, there we are. We're live
But
now.
the main talker. There he is. There's George. Austin, what's going on? You are indeed first. The Goofy Strawberry. Hey, Brad. What's going on? 4, 6. They're coming in.
There we go.
Jonathan says JR exclamation point. That's what your wife says, right?
Well, no, what she says I can no longer say.
Yeah. George, I haven't heard you. Are you there? Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah,
what's up, sir?
Can you hear me okay?
I am.
You are what?
I am hearing you. I can hear you just fine. I'm going to type something, George, in the window.
All right, I'm gonna put the link up on Facebook and Discord.
Yeah, I realize what I'm missing now from my repertoire. There we go.
Okay, there you go, George. Read that, and we're on the air. And let's see who. Oh, sorry, JR brought the hat. Look at that. By the way, you never hung up your Goblin poster like we were talking about a couple months ago. What's up, man?
I have really been busy.
Yeah.
I've been at work, and then I just got back from 2 weeks in New York. So,
did you go to?
I've got a whole lot to clean up and everything too.
You go to that what is it, Midtown Comics shop that's there? You've gone there several times, I think.
Oh yeah, there's about. I'm trying to think. There's at least 3 locations. I went to 2 of them. The one in Times Square and the one on Lexington Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So,
did you buy anything?
Oh no, it's mostly overpriced junk anymore. I mean, it's like, I can walk out of there with a $400 statue and ship it home.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey Joey, greetings. 9 people, they're coming in.
Right.
Okay, let me pull up the issues that George was telling me about.
Oh, now wait a minute. We can't talk about spoilers because Vinkman says I'm planning on seeing Endgame tomorrow.
No, even the directors have said all bets are off.
Oh, okay.
So if you have not seen Endgame after, is this 2 weeks?
Okay, so
I would not listen to the podcast. Granted, we're talking about fights from the past and history from the past, but we may just let it slip that Spider-Man changed genders. No, just kidding. In the movie, I don't know.
Well, there was a big moment.
Something may come up. I don't know. The woke moment. Oh, okay. I see what you did there. All right, George, we're going to start with Fight Club first. And are we doing spec or team up first? I forget which one's
We'll do team up first.
Team up. Oh, just to tick JR off. I like it.
Well, it's got to be. I'm sure George has picked an excellent issue.
By the way, JR, have you picked up volume 3 or volume 4 of the new Marvel Team Up? Issue 1 just came out. Issue 2 just came out last week, I think.
No. I am continuing my. I've been going to my 12-step program and haven't bought comic books for several months.
Oh man!
So I just don't want to pay. I just don't want to pay the freight anymore, to be honest.
It's actually Spidey and Ms. Marvel teaming up. So Team Up is back. Okay, let's see here. We need to pull the chat window over so I can see what you all are saying when we're recording. George, did you say you put it up on Facebook?
Yeah, it's up
Okay,
on
cool.
our
Cool.
Yeah,
Alright,
it's up on the Crawl Space Facebook page. Yeah.
so they ought to be coming in. All right. All right, you guys ready?
I mean, it's a Friday night, so
What?
a lot of people are probably out. You know,
No, they're at their computers waiting
no, a
on
lot of people
pins
are.
and needles.
No, it's
What
Friday.
we're going to talk
No,
about.
it's Friday. A lot of people have worked all week and they're going out and getting their swerve on.
They're what? Yeah, they're getting their drink on or something. Yep. All right, you ready? Come on, Let's go. Coming down in 3. You ready to come on? You okay? Coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, guess what? Fight Club is back with George. What's going on, George?
Hi.
We haven't done this since February, I think, right?
Has it been February?
Maybe January. We've done at least 1 or 2 this year. I remember.
It feels like we've done like maybe 4.
Well, the
Surely.
YouTubers that are watching us live now, go. That's your homework. Go find the answer to the last time we did Fight Club. I suspect February. I could be wrong, but we always like to counterbalance George with some opposition. So we invited JR on the line to talk about how much he hates Marvel Team Up, because we're going to review a Marvel Team Up fight.
Among other things, how's my hat? How's my hat?
I'm the only one hatless, it seems.
I'm doing it because I'm ashamed of my hair going gray and everything, and I figure if I cover my hair, people won't realize that I'm getting old. So
you're going to need more than a hat. More than a hat, sir. All right, so George, we're going back to, is this 1982? I think. Let me look.
Yeah, I think it's like 82. Yeah.
October of 1982. Marvel Team Up.
This is the year of ET, the extraterrestrial.
The Man Thing's about the phone home. Marvel Team Up's Spider-Man and the Man Thing.
Now, see, when after the instructions you gave me, you keep throwing softballs like that. Holy cow.
Well, just to get even with JR even more, this book was written by JMD Mateus, your favorite.
I was going to point that out. That
there's probably some deep, dark psychological thing why the Man Thing is the way he is.
Carrie Grammel on pencils. And if this is, there are people out there, George, that have not heard of Fight Club before. So refresh them what Fight Club is about. We pick.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
We confuse the term, but Fight Club is what we did on the message boards. Friday Night Fights.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I do it too. How many times do we do it? But no, it's Friday Night Fights. It's something I started on the front page. Oh gosh. Over
years ago,
like 2009, 2010, somewhere around
10
there,
years ago. My goodness.
Where I just focused on really cool fights throughout Spider-Man history. I mean, fights were just Spider-Man would just beat the heck out of someone.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I've ever said heck on the podcast. And so we've I back when I did them on the front page, I used to make them funny and have a lot of interesting insight and whatnot. There were sort of commentators at the end of the fight in the form of Ben Grimm of the Fantastic Four and Shang-Chi. Yeah. And oh God, I guess a couple months after we'd started doing that, and I was doing it every Friday, we started up a thing called Fight Club on our message board forums. For you kids out there, message board forums are a thing that existed before Twitter,
and they're still around.
And they're
Hey,
I mean they are. People are using other things now more.
I know, like Discord and stuff.
Like Discord. That. And so on the message board we used to have a thing called we used to do a Marvel Fight Club, DC Fight Club, and then something called the Friendly Fire Fight Club. And Marvel and DC, you could I would pick sometimes at random, completely at random, but then sometimes I'd try to set fights up and people would vote on who would win. And then when we did Friendly Fire was you could challenge other members of the message board to throw down in a fight. You would pick a hero or a villain or a character from a movie or film or whatever, and then they would pick one, and then I, as the commissioner, would decide if that was actually an even fight or if one side was about to get stomped, like
like Squirrel Girl versus Thanos.
Yeah, no, that's a fair fight. I mean, we actually had Squirrel Girl versus Doomsday at one point.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was very controversial. Yeah. But it was an even fight. So we did that for, we did that for a long time until finally I ran out of time for it.
And then you and I talked and said, why don't we make it a podcast?
Yeah, we should make it. We'll make it a podcast. I think we started making it a podcast in like 2012, maybe something like that.
It's still been a minute, hasn't it?
Man, that's wow. I'm starting to realize how long things have.
That's 7 years, man.
Oh my God! So just gone, just right out the window.
I know.
7 years you'll never have back. No.
But like Stan Lee said, a comic is someone's first comic. A podcast is someone's first podcast. So this may be your first Friday Night Fight.
You mentioned Stan, so I have to take my hat down or whatever, and put it on my heart.
While you're messing with your hat, lower your camera. I can barely see your face. There's
a good reason for that.
There you go.
You don't think that wasn't deliberate?
You say it like it's a bad thing.
Yeah. I'm not the young man my wife married 30 years ago.
Oh man!
Last month, I mean, this age is taking its toll on me. That and having my soul sucked out of me slowly every night in bed.
Wow. Anyway, Man-Thing versus
you know what it's
Spider-Man.
like, though, don't you?
I haven't been married for decades like you. And George is the ever bachelor. So we usually do a little setup of the fight, which has a great looking cover, by the way. Ed Hannigan on the cover of Man-Thing just enveloping Spider-Man.
It is a fun cover. Yeah, it is a fun cover.
So take me through some setup, George.
A Simple Twist of Fate by DeMatteis and Kerry Gemmel. Gemmel back then, I think at this time, he was doing a lot of work for DC too, I want to say. And I'm asking two people who don't even barely read DC. Never mind.
No.
My bad.
Especially during the 80s, I have no idea.
If Bailey was here, Bailey could tell me. So yeah, the story opens up in the area of the Florida swampland called the Nexus of All Realities. It's near a fictional town called Citrusville, and a lot of Marvel's early horror stuff started here in the Nexus of All Realities. This swamp is where, if I recall right, it's where Howard the Duck actually came to Earth.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's actually where he appeared.
Right.
And for a long time, Howard
showed up in Cleveland.
I think he eventually made it there, but
that was the movie. That was the movie. He showed up in Cleveland at the movie.
But he first appeared in the Nexus of All Realities, and for a while there, he and Man-Thing were kind of they were like the Hope and Crosby of Marvel horror, which is weird to say, but it's true. A lot of Marvel horror is kind of out there.
That's really funny.
So the Man-Thing's just running, walking around the swamp. Man-Thing is barely sentient. Man-Thing barely even knows it's alive. Just walking around the swamp as Man-Thing does, and then a dimensional portal opens up, and a middle-aged sorcerer named Ian Fate pops in. Ian Fate, of course, is familiar to all you Defender fans out there. Two of you maybe in our audience. No, I'm kidding. Like not many people know old school Defender stuff. Well, this guy was an old school Defender character. And back then, as much as I love the Defenders, and I just love the people that made up the Defenders, and I love the concept of the Defenders. Most of the Defender stories were horrible.
Aw.
The villains were bad.
That's kind of the way I feel about Alpha Flight. You know, I like me some Alpha Flight, but I
The-
can't really name their villains with the exception of the Master of the Universe.
Oh yeah, and that
Didn't-
pandemonium guy that had like things that popped out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Wasn't
that's
there one story where Doctor Strange was turned into the Red Raja?
Oh,
Something
did
like
you
that.
read Defenders, JR? I didn't know that.
My brother did.
Okay.
My brother was the Hulk fan of the family. I was the
Oh,
Spider-Man
yeah.
fan. He was the Hulk fan. So
This
he
was
also got
essentially
Defenders.
Hulk's second title,
Yep.
Defenders, yeah.
So Ian Fate appears, wearing wearing like a rumpled suit and a unclasped or an undone bow tie. Looking like he hadn't slept in a couple of days, looking like he hasn't shaved in longer. And he pops up, and he instantly just basically it's you feel bad for the guy because it's like, I just need a friend, and so I'm going to glom onto the Man Thing. I have no fear of the Man Thing, which is very important. If you know what the Man Thing does,
He seeks out your fears, kind of like the Ghost Rider, the Penance Stare.
well, no, he doesn't seek out your fears. If you have fear around the Man Thing, if you are either frightened of Man Thing or frightened of just around Man Thing will try to grab you and burn you to death.
Okay,
He-
bad deal.
He's made out of vegetation, but when he grabs someone or puts his hands on somebody, if they're afraid, fear makes him rageful. So any kind of fear, either directed at him because of him or around him, will cause him to go into a berserker fury. He will grab or try to touch whatever it is that's afraid and burn it to death. His body emits sort of like a caustic, like acid that will literally just
Yeah.
burn you,
Yeah.
alive.
Okay.
It is one of the weirdest power sets I have ever, come across. He's made of vegetation. He's stupidly strong. He's
Sounds
very,
like weeds in my garden.
he's very, very hard to hurt.
Yeah.
And he burns stuff that's afraid of him.
Yeah.
What-
Okay.
Whatever knows fear burns at the Man Thing's touch.
Yeah, exactly.
What
They
came
even say
first, Swamp Thing or Man Thing?
I believe Man Thing.
Really? I thought it was Swamp Thing, but I could be
Think.
wrong. You know,
Think.
people often think Aquaman came before Namor too, but that's not right.
Yeah, Namor was a World War II character.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was published first.
Yeah, he showed up in Marvel #1 in 1939.
Yes.
Yep. And was part of all that World War II stuff, along with Captain America,
Human Torch.
the first Human Torch, the
Yeah.
first Vision.
Yeah, yeah.
Lots of cool stuff. Anyway, we're digressing.
But
As
this
we
is
often
a
do.
Spider-Man podcast, so let's get to the Spidey part.
So we hear Ian Fate's backstory. Blah blah blah. Was a journalist, had a wife and a kid, and they were great, and I loved them. And the mob killed my family, and so I became a sorcerer. It worked in the early '80s, folks.
I guess so, man.
Yeah. Well, the mob boss that like killed his family was actually another Defenders villain, who was into sorcery. And so this guy tried to kill the guy that tried to kill his family, but the Defenders were there. They stopped him. Doctor Strange took pity on him. He resents Doctor Strange for having taken pity on him, because how dare you take pity on me and try to help me and yada yada. And because of that, he takes pity on Man Thing and tries to help Man Thing.
And in the words of Mr. T, I pity the fool.
I pity the fool. Yeah. So he decides he's going to cure the world's evils.
Okay.
Literally, I mean, like this guy's like, humanity has suffered too much for far too long. I don't know why I'm slipping into like a southern accent with this guy. I don't, because he was a New Yorker. as we
Well,
find out in the story.
he's in the South Swamps. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, but he's not from the South. Anyway, I don't know.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say Symbio Bro has come up with your answer.
What is it?
Man Thing first appeared in May 1971, written by Jerry Conway.
That
Swamp
was a
Thing
Conway.
first appeared in July 1971,
Oh.
written by Lynn Wein. Conway and Wein had also been roommates. So
I remembered that they all,
Oh.
that was a link. So they were probably created.
They were
Make-
probably,
yeah.
They probably talked about two different characters, and
So
one
where does
character.
Alan, wait a minute, where does Alan Moore fall in all this? I thought Alan Moore had a
they-
famous Swamp Thing run, didn't he?
I think he did.
He did, but I mean, he wasn't like the creator of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't, yeah.
So the answer is Man Thing came first,
Mhm.
publication wise.
In fact, I don't think Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run was. I don't think it happened until the 80s.
I genuinely don't know. I just know that he's very closely identified with it, right?
Mm-hmm. In the same way that like John Byrne is associated with the Fantastic Four because of his run in the 80s.
Right.
Simonson is associated with Thor. Ad nauseum, ad nauseum, ad nauseum.
Speaking of all those names you just mentioned, anybody picking up Marvel 1000 with all the
Nope.
How come?
I could care less, Brad.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm so JR. You're probably in the same boat.
Yeah.
You don't want to see all those creators come back and do one more story?
No.
Nope.
I do.
How much are you going to charge for that thing?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
$10. $10, I bet.
Yeah.
If not more.
Really? I said I'd never take out another home equity loan again, and I mean it. So
now I've bought my last $10 Marvel issue, and I don't even care if it means I have to miss a show and not review something. Don't care. I'm done. It's not happening. I won't buy it digitally. I won't buy it, at a store. I'm done. I'm done with it.
Anyway, Peter Parker and Robbie.
Well, we hadn't gotten there yet.
Oh, sorry. I thought
but no, way to jump ahead. No, I'm saying this guy and Man Thing, they walk, they sort of walk off, and as you do in the Nexus for all realities, you wind up somewhere else. And so they wind up in New York. And I'm trying to give you the condensed version of this so we can actually get to the fight.
Exactly.
But yeah, Peter bumps into Ian Fate and the Man Thing. The Man Thing who's like doing the Ben Grimm thing where he's like wearing like a hat and a heavy trench coat, and he's got stuff wrapped around his face. It's like, and Peter's like, well, that's not weird at all. Middle of July, and this giant man is wearing all this clothing. But yeah, he's like, Ian Fate's like, could you help us point the way to the Daily Bugle? They want to go to the Daily Bugle because he's literally, he wants to become Ian Fate and the Man Thing are aiming to be crusaders and spread the good word to. I mean, literally, these guys are so high in the sky. Ian Fate's like, I am done with people suffering forever. Let's make this world I mean, this is like the biggest hippie.
Off to the presses.
I know, right?
Off to the presses.
Sounds like a messianic Jimmy Carter.
It's stuff you ought to hear from Angar the Screamer. not this dude who's wearing like a suit in a bow tie. I mean, this guy ought to be doing the weather. this guy's dressed like establishment, JR. So they make their way to the Bugle office, and as they're passing, Spider-Man's looking down, and he's like, that giant fellow's leaving a green slime trail. That's certainly odd. Guess I better follow. So Man Thing and Ian Fate show up in the Daily Bugle. There's J. Jonah Jameson. He instantly recognizes Ian Fate.
Well,
even though he hasn't seen him in 15 years. And he's like, oh, you're that dashing young go-getter I hired 15 years ago. I haven't seen you since your wife and child were brutally murdered. How the heck are you, pal? You want a job? I'm willing to help you out. And then Ian Fate is like, thank you. Yes, I'll take you up on your offer of Hade. By the way, meet my associate. And he motions to Man Thing, and Man Thing's out. And then suddenly off come the clothes and the hat and everything, and everybody just sees this walking, rotting pile of vegetation inside the Daily Bugle, and of course they react to it. I mean, everyone freaks out, right? Yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And the Man Thing goes nuts because the Man Thing is like, "Nope, can't do it. There's too much fear around me. Burn it all."
Yep.
So Man Thing starts going after people. First thing he does is he corners some poor girl in the corner who's trembling with fear. Man Thing is making him angry. He's reaching out for her. Yep. Ian Fate kind of picks up on what's going on. He uses his magical powers to shield her and all the other people, and then he stops time.
Like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell?
I know, right? Yeah, he stops time. Yeah, to give us monologue. And freezes everybody. and then he starts crying about how the world is killing and hurting, and oh my God, there's so much pain, and the only people that aren't frozen right now are Jonah, Ian, Man-Thing, and Spider-Man, who's outside, looking in the window, saying, "What the heck is going on here?" So Jonah's trying to talk this dude off the ledge. Because this guy's talking like idealistic, this guy's talking like every 20-year-old in Berkeley at this point. And he's like, Jonah, I want you to help me, and your paper, I want your paper to help me spread the world and stop the suffering. And Jonah's like, dude, we're in journalism. We report on what is, which is funny. We report on Jonah, what is. Yeah, we report on what is and not what could be.
Right.
And so to help you would corrupt everything that every journalist holds dear, which made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, he's talking out two sides of his mouth on that one.
That and just the law journalism. So this incenses Ian Fate. He punches Jonah. Spider-Man finally gets involved.
There we go.
Spider-Man finally comes into the window, is like, dude, you are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He doesn't say that. Although Cocoa Puffs would have been around, I think, at this time.
They would.
Yeah. So, of course, this makes Ian Fate even more mad. He starts shooting magic bolts at Spidey. Spidey's dodging. He's trying to web Ian Fate. Ian Fate using his Eldritch Shield. I know a lot about Marvel, so I know a lot of or a lot about Marvel magic, how magic works in the Marvel universe. And, you've got the Eldritch bolts, the Eldritch Shield. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why this is the universal symbol for shield all of a sudden. But during the fight, while he's fighting Spider-Man, he starts to become afraid himself.
Yeah.
Because, why are you trying to stop me? I'm afraid I'm going to lose. I'm afraid I won't be able to do my thing. So, of course, the Man-Thing grabs him from behind.
Yeah.
Because he suddenly has fear. And Man-Thing starts burning Ian Fate. And Ian Fate is screaming because he's burning up.
Yep.
Right? As the caption says, as Ian Fate's flesh sizzles below his clothing, and whatever knows fear burns at the Man-Thing's touch. Spider-Man starts trying to pull Man-Thing off of Ian Fate, try to get Fate away. He finally manages to kind of distract Man-Thing a little bit, but not all that much. And Man-Thing just keeps burning Ian Fate like Ian Fate is a Duraflame log, right? So finally, Spider-Man's like, dude, the only way I'm going to be able to stop this is if I toss Man-Thing out of the building.
Oh.
So he's finally able to get Man-Thing's attention. Man-Thing goes after Jonah because Jonah becomes afraid.
Yeah.
And when he drops Ian Fate, he goes for Jonah. Spider-Man lunges, knocks him and Man-Thing out. They're hurtling towards the street. Spidey lets Man-Thing hit the street full force while he swings away at the last minute, and Man-Thing is laying there embedded in the street like in a giant crater, and also he's like almost gooified.
And the sound effect, the onomatopoeia that Man-Thing makes right when he hits the ground, you have it in front of you?
I do, but I'm not saying that. That's your thing.
Shaloop.
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 Yes.
What was that word you used again?
Onomatopoeia. That is a word that describes sound effects. Like a shaloop is an onomatopoeia. Yep.
Oh, so wait a minute. So you,
I've blown Jr.'s mind.
It's a sound, and then there's a galoop that comes after it.
No,
that sounds like
onomatopoeia is a word that describes sound effects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
then you said
like boom,
boom.
or bam.
Is this something that our sometime podcaster / teacher came up with?
No, Mark. Onomatopoeia.
It's a legit word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's the one who brought it into the lexicon, right? I mean, of the crawl space.
Oh
no. What's his name? Dark Marker. Or
Mark Alford.
Yeah. Marker.
Yeah. Isn't that who we just said?
No, Brad was referring to himself.
Oh no, yeah, Brad's not. No, Brad.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm the one that said. Anyway, shaloop. Let's go on.
Shaloop. Let's move on.
Isn't there a
All right.
song? Shaloop, shoop, ba-doop.
No, that's shoop.
Ba-doop,
Shoop.
boop, ba-doop,
Shoop.
ba-doop.
Shoop, Brad.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so Spider-Man's like, he's looking down at Man-Thing. He's like, well, I guess I won. and then Man-Thing starts to reform before his eyes because Man-Thing can regenerate like all tough Marvel heroes can.
Like a weed.
Basically, yes, he comes back like a weed, except he doesn't do it like in a few weeks or next season. He literally does it within seconds.
Right.
And he stands up, and of course, people down on the street of New York are freaking out. They're afraid, and so Man-Thing goes berserk again, and he starts chasing people, trying to burn them. And so Spider-Man webs over to him, does that thing where like you leg lock somebody's head between your thighs.
Yeah.
Right, like a wrestling move.
Right.
Like an old time wrestler, and then just starts clubber-langing him. I mean, just bam, 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 bam. Just beats him like a red-headed stepchild. And nothing he's doing is really working against the Man-Thing.
No, not at all.
Man-Thing is getting a little weaker, but it doesn't really stop his effectiveness. And Man-Thing's getting progressively weaker the longer he stays away from the swamp.
Yeah,
Man-Thing is strongest in the swamp. Much like Hulk is stronger as he gets angrier. Man-Thing is the strongest when he's in the swamp.
Or Namor out of the water.
Namor out of the water, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So Man-Thing is getting weaker, but not from Spider-Man. He's getting weaker because he's away from where he's supposed to be. And but he's still strong enough to fight Spider-Man. He grabs Spider-Man, slams Spider-Man down the street. Spider-Man's got the stars around his eyes because he's probably got a mild concussion now. But Spider-Man with a mild concussion is still what, Brad?
Spider-Man.
Still a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So Man-Thing goes in to try to punch him again. Spider-Man arcs up over his back. Out come the web. Spider-Man's like, "Ha ha! I got you now." Yep. Right? And no. Because the Man-Thing's body is just, like I said, is made of like soft vegetation,
right?
That is self-aware and can move, and so his webbing just sort of
eats it.
No, it doesn't eat it. It gloops through it.
Oh,
it oozes. Yeah. It oozes like right past it, like pouring soup through a screen door or something like that. Right?
What the heck kind of analogy is that?
I don't know. It's
soup through a screen door.
Something I don't know.
The Man-Thing goes through webbing like
or an egg through a screen door. Like cracking an egg. I don't know.
Did you get that screen door? I love it.
Look, I don't know. It's been a while since I've done this. All right, Douglas. Give me a break.
Anyway, we got a backhand coming at Spider-Man's head coming up.
So Spider-Man's like, oh my gosh, he's oozing through my webbing. He's escaping, and so Spider-Man in that one instant of, oh geez, what do I do now? Gets his clock cleaned by Man-Thing. Swack. Knocks him aside. Not only does he knock him aside, Spider-Man goes flying back and lands on like the side of a bus. Right. Inside, but back up several stories up. Ian Fate is watching. Ian Fate, the discount magician. I can't get over this guy. This guy is so nuts. And it would take a Len Wein or a Dave Matisse to come up with this dude. It really would.
Is he any relation to Dr. Fate? He's got the same last name as he's no relation to Dr. Fate. Like maybe Dr. Fate's younger, stupider brother.
Different companies.
Oh
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you've also got Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson. I mean, it's not like they haven't had similar names.
Yeah, but they're not related. Deadpool and Deathstroke are not related, Brad. I
know, but sometimes the writers mix up the names a little bit to elude. I don't know. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so Ian Fate is very disturbed. He's like, look at the agony, and the faces of the mass. This is it. It's what's the best way to describe this? This isn't part of the fight, but this is remarkable. In fact, this isn't. I like Dave Matisse as a writer. This is not Dave Matisse's stronger stuff. Because like the social message here seems scattershot and kind of forced, kind of wedged in, kind of like, well, I gotta get my politics out there somewhere. I guess I'll shoehorn it into this issue in an awkward fashion. It's just it doesn't. There's nothing about
much of his other stuff.
Right.
Well, it seems like it was written fast.
It does seem like it was written fast. It really
probably was.
And so this guy is just he's just kind of there. I mean, like he's the impetus for the entire story, but he's just sort of there. And really, as a comic fan, you don't even care. You're like, dude, you showed me in one panel that your wife and kid got blown up by the mob, and then next it's like, okay, care about me. No, I mean, it's like, there's this guy is so two-dimensional. There's nothing to him.
Yeah.
So all you care about is the fight, which
exactly.
Yeah. So Man Thing now is back. He's in the street. The cops are showing up. They're shooting him. Man Thing's going more berserk, throwing cop cars around, about to pound the cops. And Spider-Man webs the cops out of the way, and then swings on a web line, and his legs go through Man Thing's midsection.
That's a cool panel.
And then Spider-Man starts hitting him again from all angles. I mean, just, in the face, double crunch style haymaker going on, hitting him in the back, hitting him from all sides. And finally, because he has been around he has been out of the swamp for enough time now, Man Thing just starts to dissolve right in front of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man feels bad. He's like, I didn't want to kill the Man Thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to kill the Man Thing. I don't know how powerful I am. No, he doesn't start thinking that. But he's like, I don't want to kill the Man Thing. But then Ian Fate shows up in time with using his magic to teleport down to the street. What have I done? No, I should have left my friend in the swamp in his element. No, I'm a horrible person. Oh, wait, no, he's regenerating. I know, I'll get him back to the swamp. So he teleports himself and Man Thing away. Spider-Man still has mild concussion, passes out, probably with legitimate questions about what just happened. and Ian Fate and the Man Thing just walk off into the swamp together, probably to part after a crocodile or alligator eats Ian Fate.
and next issue, Daredevil. yeah. And you're reading this thinking, how come this is the issue I get? Daredevil's next month. I get this. I paid a hard-earned 60 cents for this. Yeah. Wasn't bad fight.
The fight was interesting. I mean, like, if you like Man Thing, and I do, I've always liked Man Thing. Man Thing has been one of the more interesting Marvel characters for me.
Could we bring Man Thing into the MCU? I mean, he has an awful movie out there, direct to DVD.
I mean, they could. Will they? No. But could they? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney puts him into like, one of their streaming things, like as a cameo or something like that.
That'd be cool.
I swear, if they did something with Howard the Duck, they ought to do something with Man Thing.
Why not?
But yeah. So decision on the fight. We always give our decision. How did this fight go?
Spider-Man had his butt whooped until the end.
Spider-Man gave more than he got, really, although he got a concussion. You assume that when the stars are happening and they persist, you assume somebody got their bell rung enough to at least have a mild concussion.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, what was hurting Man Thing was just not being in the swamp.
Yeah. Spider-Man would be dead if he's in the swamp. What do you think? Because he can't swing anywhere.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Man Thing is not really giving 100% against Spider-Man because Spider-Man's not afraid of him.
Yeah.
He's not trying to grab Spider-Man and burn him, which is really his trap card.
Yeah.
So he's not.
There's another team up with Man Thing. I think Byrne drew it. It's like 68 of Marvel team up.
They didn't. There was one where
he was swimming and he had a paddle.
We've covered it on the
I think podcast. We have. Yeah.
We have. Yeah.
So this is like a second fight with these two.
Yeah, but I think the one that we covered, the one that you're mentioning, happened later.
No, it was Byrne. It was earlier than this. This is round 2.
Because Spider-Man makes a reference. I remember in this issue when Man Thing walks in front of him when he's covered up like Ben Grimm, and Spider-Man notices the green slime trail behind him, and Spider-Man's like, "I've never seen the like," and I'm like,
"Well, yeah, this is issue 122, and so it's about to wrap up at 150." So.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're right, and so that struck me as odd. I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute,
I think DeMatteis is seeing the two for the first time.
Yeah, you've met this. This is like like Dan Slott saying we finally get to see Bullseye and Spider-Man fight when they've actually fought before.
Yeah.
Anyway, decision. I mean, obviously Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because he beat Man Thing down to the point where Ian Fate had to come in and get him out.
The most powerful blow is when he went through his midsection with his feet.
Yeah, when you kick through somebody, literally, that's pretty mighty.
Yeah, you're done, and then
you've got the upper hand on the fight at that point.
So basically, he was like practicing on the Man Thing, like he's going to go up against Fire Lord in a few years. He just did not let go.
He didn't until he passed out. I mean, this is actually this is very reminiscent of the fight that he had with the X-Men when J. Jonah Jameson hired X Factor. Remember?
In 282, ASM at
to go after
282.
Spider-Man and capture him.
I remember that.
And they almost, or no, I mean, it took Jean Grey. It took Jean Grey to finally shut his mind down, and even then, he was about to break free of that. And Jean Grey was like, "Oh God, this guy is so strong." And I was like, "Darn right you are. Darn right he is."
That's because we didn't need another issue of Spider-Man beating X-Men.
And he did that with a broken arm.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry, X-Men fans. It's just
so. JR, what are your thoughts on this fight? We both say Spider-Man wins.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he jumped through a thing of green goo or whatever, and I mean, and he didn't burn, right? I mean, I figure that's a win anyway. If if you face off the man thing and you don't burn, I guess you win, right?
I guess Spider-Man didn't have any fear either. He didn't burn him.
Yeah. This reminded me. Did J.M. DeMatteis have a thing for the Nexus of All Realities? Because he wrote a Peter Parker annual about it that was just absolutely dreadful.
He did. Gerber did. Len Wein did. I think Wolfman may have contributed that for only because Wolfman I know was a big staple of the Marvel horror stuff back in the day.
Symbio Bro in the YouTube comments has a neat comment. He says Man-Thing was mentioned on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and also Man-Thing's wife showed up in Iron Man 3 as a crazy lady with Extremis. I didn't know that.
See, I've only seen Iron Man 3 the one time, and I swore never again. So I don't even remember that.
Yeah. So was this a fairly good issue, JR? Do you remember it, JR, picking it up?
No, I really don't. But all you got to do is say J.M. DeMatteis, ham-fisted politicalness, and the Nexus of All Realities.
The Marvel team up. And you're like, Chipmunk, what are you eating?
I'm eating my supper.
Oh.
Like I said, Spencer had a performance tonight, and instead of being able to come home, relax or whatever, I said, whoa, I have a responsibility to Brad and all the fans out there, all 15 of them, to participate in Spider history. So, I'm having to, eat while I participate. Oh, and my wife is sending me a text. Oh, she's mad at me. Okay.
So any final thoughts on this, George, before we wrap up this month?
Not really, no.
All right. Well, do you want to end the episode like that?
Wow, what a crazy month! How's that? Is that better? I mean, what do you want? What do you want? I don't dance, Douglas. What do you want from me?
All right. Okay, we will. Let's get ready for the next episode. We're going Spec 164, right?
Yes, Spec 164 in a truly pathetic fight.
Okay. All right, coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our June Friday night fight with George. What's going on, George?
Hi. Boy, has it been a month?
It has, a whole 30 days. And we have JR again. What's going on, JR? Still eating your dinner?
Yeah, and after a month, it's getting pretty rancid. But, I mean, but I paid, $6 or $7 for this at McDonald's. So, by God, I'm going to finish.
What did you order? What'd you order?
I ordered a quarter pounder.
Quarter pounder.
I get the double quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good.
A double one would have been too much for the show or whatever. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be
much for the show.
Too much burger for the show.
Hold that extra patty. I can't handle that much and broadcast at the same time.
That's right. That's right.
Too much meat for the YouTube. I can't have. I can't have a double quarter pounder. It must only be a single patty.
Before the fight breaks out between all three of us, we're gonna go back to 1990, May 1990, and look at Spec 164. It's written by Jerry Conway and art by our pal Sal Buscema.
Mm-hmm.
Take me, set up the fight.
This is part of that glorious run that Sal Buscema had.
Yep.
On Spectacular Spider-Man that that you and I reference a whole lot.
Love it all. Love it so much.
And yeah, this is and I didn't go back and do my homework on this one because I'm lazy and honestly at the end of the day I just don't care all that much. But see, I say things like that and then people like listening to the podcast can't see my face. You know, like when I'm saying
Well,
that,
they can
you know,
now on
when
the
I'm
YouTube. They can see the sarcasm
the
right on your.
15 of them on the YouTube that are watching right now.
Well, they
Yes,
watch
they
throughout
can. But
the
but the
months.
other, all the other, like, however, what is it, thousands of people that listen to it monthly, Brad?
Yeah, yeah.
They can't. They all they hear is the deadpan voice, and they're like, "Oh my god, this guy he's a horrible human being."
Well,
You know, he's doing this podcast. He's saying he doesn't care, but no, I obviously I do, or else I wouldn't be talking about this. It's just I realized how I sound sometimes just then in that moment where, like, I'm just lazy and I don't really care. It's not true. That's not. I
Yeah.
just don't have time to do a lot of the things I want to do. But as I was reading this,
Yeah.
and I remember it was from 1990, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think this is maybe one of the Beatles' last appearances, maybe
Really?
before Thunderbolts.
Well, Thunderbolts is
I want
like
to say
98, isn't it?
Yeah,
like 1998.
I
So
can't think of anything where, like, the Beatle was prominently in between then. But JR, can you?
JR.
No, I thought.
I got one.
I thought
got
their
one.
last appearance together was like 1970 or something like that.
No, I got one. Superior.
When John and Paul and Ringo
Oh,
and
Lord.
you're talking about the Beatles, right?
No.
No,
What was that miniseries
Oh.
that Fingeroth wrote? He had two of them. That was a miniseries. It wasn't Superior. It wasn't Superior.
The stupider foes of Spider-Man.
Lethal Foes.
Lethal Foes. I think the
Oh.
Beatle was in that Lethal.
Was
Foes
he in
mini.
Lethal Foes?
I think he was. I could be wrong.
Okay, then Lethal Foes. If he was in Lethal
Yeah.
Foes, all I remember is that Stegron was in that.
Yeah.
If he was in Lethal Foes, then yeah, that may have been his last
Right.
hurrah before Thunderbolt.
But this is one of the last ones before in one of the main titles. So
Really, yeah, and it's but I just don't know about the Beatle. He was always a B-lister, or no, really, when it comes to Spider-Man villains, he was a C-lister.
Yeah, I think you're. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, he never really had anything. I mean, like, what are your favorite Spider-Man Beetle stories? Go. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't have one.
No.
Thunderbolts was it.
Yeah, this guy really, the Thunderbolts did nothing but good for this character.
Yeah, no doubt.
in the end of the day.
Yeah.
I remember, what is he now, like Mach 5, something like that?
Yeah. He's Mach 5.
He had for my money, for my hard-earned dollar, he had the funniest moment of Superior Foes, like inside the furniture store.
What? Refresh me.
I don't remember what issue it was, but he went in to talk to somebody. It might have been Shocker, because he became a probation officer, and he's got that Gundam suit with the giant wings that extend out, and every time he turns around, he's like breaking stuff. Dude, I laughed for 5 minutes looking at that. I was like, "This is the funniest thing I've ever
That's
seen."
funny. Another Nick Spencer book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we're digressing painfully.
Usually do.
Yeah, and so you've got the Beatles showing up at the arranger's office. The arranger is, of course, the Kingpin's project manager. JR, is that a good way to say that?
I thought he was like he wrote he put together his music for him.
No, that's not no.
Oh
no,
his arranger. You're right.
You should have got the extra patty.
Yeah, you should have got the extra patty. So the arranger, the story starts off with Beetle coming to Fisk Tower, and the arranger wants him to kill Spider-Man. He's like, I want to hire you to kill Spider-Man. You know, which makes me think that Wilson Fisk did a bad job, like vetting the arranger. You know, if the arranger doesn't know the history of Spider-Man and Beetle enough to know that this isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know what the arranger's thinking here. Anyway, so he makes the offer. He's like, I want to hire you to kill Spider-Man. And Beetle's like, are you nuts? You know, I don't want to do that. This dude pounds me like a pound cake. I don't know, something you pound.
Like soup through a sliding glass door.
Soup through a not a sliding
screen door. A screen door.
Like soup through a screen door.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that was a May 2019 reference. Sorry.
Soup through a screen door sounds like something that they said back in the Great Depression or something.
No, it sounds
what
like
is
a
that?
90s rock band. Soup through a screen door.
Yeah, it sounds like an album by by like
Or an
Creed
episode of
somebody.
Seinfeld or something.
Oh yeah, the soup Nazi with the soup through the screen door.
It's Soup Through a Screen Door by Smashing Pumpkins. Okay. So when the Beatles says, you know what, no thanks, but no thanks. Oh, by the way, lose my number.
Yeah.
Arranger makes a counter offer and says, okay, well, how about instead of killing Spider-Man, we have another job for you. It's robbing these industrial grade, diamonds, and then we'll split the take 50-50. And Beatles like, now you're talking my language, Jack. Yeah, I can totally pull a heist. Sure, done. Right. Like anything the Kingpin's involved in is going to split things with you 50-50.
Yeah, right.
Right. Anyway, so then the Arranger gets on the phone and he's calling up Peter Parker, right? And meanwhile, across town, Peter's got the day off. Mary Jane have the day off. They're both sitting there in bed thinking, isn't it weird how we have the day off? Whatever shall we do? Then Kate Cushing calls and is like, well, you'll go to work. That's what you'll do. You're going to go down and meet the Arranger with Joy Mercado.
Yeah.
And find out what the Arranger wants to talk about. And it's weird. It's like the Arranger is like an open criminal kind of in this scene. And like Joy Mercado, even later on in the issue, is like, you know what? You're actually pretty hospitable for a known criminal.
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, hi, Joy Mercado. Yeah, it's one of Joy's rare appearances in the 90s. She was mainly seen throughout the 80s.
Whatever happened to Joy Mercado?
I don't know.
JR?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Wasn't she still working at the Bugle like when Dexter Bennett bought it?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a reference there
at
some point?
I don't think so. But I really don't know.
I've blocked that period of history out of my mind with therapy. So, and I've actually cultivated mental defenses to keep it blocked out. So I don't really remember all that well. I may be thinking of Nora, what's her name?
Oh, Nora Winters?
Yeah. Anyway,
actually, that's probably it. Because I'm trying to think. I know that Joy showed up in like early issues of Web of Spider-Man when Peter was doing those international trips.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man kept showing up as well, and nobody put two and two together. So
I think she went with him, like when he went to like West Virginia or whatever, or Pennsylvania, wherever that coal mine was.
Yeah, I think she went with him. He blew up in the cave and saw the Spider-Man suit.
So anyway. The Arranger's like, look, I know that you know how to find Spider-Man, how to get a hold of Spider-Man, and so he lays the plan out to Spider-Man. He's like, look, we know that the Beetle is going to hit this armored car carrying industrial diamonds, So he's basically setting the Beetle up. So he's like, either I'm going to get back at the Beetle for turning me down, or the Beetle's going to kill Spider-Man. Right, one of the two.
Yep.
Of course, the Arranger again needs to do a little more homework. Wouldn't know how well the Beetle has done against Spider-Man over the years.
Yeah.
The Beetle even tried to tell him. The Beetle's like, "No, thanks. I'm sorry. I'm out." Anyway, so while Peter Parker goes off, Arranger, is kind of flirting a little bit with Joy Mercado, and I think Joy kind of flirts back a little bit just to keep him talking. I think Joy kind of uses that to her advantage in this issue, and it's I don't know, it in a way that I guess is more obvious now than it would have been back then. I don't know. Anyway, so Beetle's like, all right, this is it. This is my last heist. This is all. How many times have we heard a villain give this monologue? This is my last job.
One.
He's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take half the take from the Kingpin. The Kingpin's gonna pay me 50%.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm gonna move to Oregon, baby. Buy that goat farm or whatever the heck is waiting for him out in Oregon. Gonna run with the Bigfoots. So he goes to attack the armored car carrying the what he thinks
diamonds.
are industrial diamonds. And who's inside the van waiting for him? Spider-Man. And the Beetle's like, no.
To quote Admiral Akbar,
it's a trap.
There you go.
So the Beetle starts fighting Spider-Man out of desperation, and this is a fight that he doesn't even want to have
No.
at all. He didn't sign up for this. He turned that job down in the first place, and he's like, "Why? I just wanted some money to get to Oregon." And I kind of feel bad for Beetle in that regard.
Yep. So he retreats.
He tries to. He
Yeah.
tries to, but Spider-Man is dogged.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is like, "Listen, Jack, you ain't getting away with this." And I throughout this whole fight, I feel bad for Beetle. I legitimately feel bad for him.
Yep.
And even when he's only tepidly fighting back, Spider-Man's just hammering him through this whole issue. I mean, Spider-Man, shows up, when Beetle rips open the doors, kicks him. Beetle goes flying back into a brick wall, tries to blast Spider-Man. Spider-Man jumps out of the way, and then webs Beetle when Beetle's trying to fly up. Reels himself up hits Beetle in the face, is wrestling up with him in the sky. Beetle finally gets one kind of lucky shot in that kind of, with his energy blast, it sort of, glances and temporarily dazes Spider-Man enough to he falls off the Beetle.
Yep.
But then he just swings his way back up, like underneath the bridge, swings back up around and kicks him in the midsection.
And you know what happened to Man-Thing last month? Went through his midsection, but not the Beetle's midsection.
No, not because the Beetle's not composed of rotting vegetation.
True.
But it does make a suit malfunction, and he's like, "Oh no, my suit, it's broken. I can't." And then we see the Beetle plummet into like the smokestack of like a passing luxury liner, like the Love Boat. He falls into the
Love Boat's exhaust.
He falls into like the smokestack of the Love Boat.
Love, exciting, and plop.
And Spider-Man doesn't even try to figure out if he's alive. He's like, "I don't get it. What happened? One minute we're fighting, and then suddenly he's just gone." I guess Spider-Man didn't see it. I mean, like the Beetle actually falls into the smokestack, and the thing explodes. I mean, there's an explosion coming out of the top of it.
Well, Spider-Man's used to putting people down smokestacks. Look at the clone.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe he thought he was cloning.
Should have put him down a tree mulcher.
like in Fargo.
Yeah. So Spider-Man just kind of, gets out of Dodge. He's like, "Okay, well, I can fight over."
Yeah, the issue's about done. I might as well go home.
Meanwhile, Joy Mercado is living the good life up in the Arranger suite, talking about, "Hey, you're not such a bad guy for a crook, but don't think I'm gonna give the Kingpin a fluff piece." And while they're talking, Arranger is starting to sweat. He's getting the Norman Osborn crazy meat sweats all over his brow and everything. And because he knows, that one of the two is probably going to come after him. And sure enough, Beetle flies up through the floor, right, at the Arranger. It's like, "Surprise, you big double crosser! I'm going to tear you apart limb from limb." He doesn't actually use those words, but he's basically, the Beetle's like, "Dude, you set me up. That's not cool. I'm going to start murdering people." And then Joy Mercado's like, "Wait a minute, you can't do this. You can't do this in front of a witness." And Beetle turns and looks at Joy Mercado, and he's like, "You're right. I'll kill you first."
He's ticked.
And that's a lesson to Joy Mercado, who showing how smart she is here. Sometimes you can be too smart. Sometimes smart gets you killed. Look at Abe Lincoln.
Jeez.
So before he can kill Joy Mercado, which I felt bad for him in this issue, but I mean, that was the one part I felt like, okay, wait a minute, no, she's trying to stop you from, I don't know, going to the chair.
Yeah.
But before he can lay hands on Joy Mercado, Spider-Man comes crashing through the glass, and he's like, "Act, Spider-Man," because it's like the last thing he wants is for Spider-Man to show back up.
Can't win.
He can't. And Spider-Man just puts the hurting on him instantly.
Yep.
I mean, just hitting him, with a wham. I mean, just comes down hard on him. Knocks him through the wall. Some goons show up, and shooting at him. Spider-Man, is trying to dodge them shooting at him, trying to dodge Beetle shooting at him. Beetle blows a hole through the elevator doors and tries to escape down the elevator shaft.
He's running.
He is. He's doing
running
everything he can to get away from this. And he even blasts a hole through the elevator shaft, outside the building. Yeah. Flies out. Spider-Man swings down, comes up to the same hole, and then tackles him web swings into him in like the middle of the air.
Man, the sound effect is chomp.
Yeah.
CHUMP, chump.
And then
Wait,
you have
wait, isn't that an onomatopoeia?
It is.
Noma.
Yeah,
Yep.
whatever that word is.
That sounds like something you're diagnosed with.
Yeah,
I
well,
got a
I
big
mean,
case of
I'm-
noma-noma-noma-pia.
I got
So
bad
like-
news. You
so
got
like
Noma.
So is like the original word any better? I mean,
I
something
love
that
onomatopoeia. I love saying. Anyway, okay. Spider-Man midair tackles him.
Yeah, and the arranger is yelling for Spider-Man to win and take this dude to jail.
Yeah, you know what side he's on.
Yeah, it's and so Beetle just wants to get away, and like his narration, because the story is narrated from the Beetle standpoint.
Yeah.
And Beetle's like, forget Oregon, I'm leaving the United States. I just want to be gone. I can't handle this. My nerves are shot. He tries to disappear
Down.
into a smokestack.
The one Ben Riley went down, probably.
Probably. And Spider-Man tracks him down, finds a boiler inside of there.
Oh.
Beetle is actually hiding inside a furnace. The Beetle is hiding inside a lit
He's that
furnace to
scared.
escape from Spider-Man. And Spider-Man pulls the door of the furnace off. There's no backdraft, which totally broke my immersion. It took me out of the story. And Spider-Man's like, you shouldn't do the same trick twice, trying to disappear down a smokestack or whatever. It starts tossing the Beetle around like a rag doll.
Man.
I mean, again, I felt bad for the Beetle. He tosses Beetle. Beetle breaks a pipe. Beetle grabs the pipe, tries to hit him with it. Spider-Man just comes down, like stomps on him with his feet, like he's making wine.
He's like Lucille Ball in that one Vineyard episode. Yeah.
Like it's Spider-Man in Napa Valley all of a sudden. Gives him a right cross.
Yeah.
Then starts tearing apart his costume.
Yeah, he's done.
Spider-Man's mad when Spider-Man starts tearing up your costume.
Yeah.
Or tearing off your like remember when Dr. Octopus
Ripped those arms off when he hurt Felicia.
When Black Cat got shot and Spider-Man ripped his arms off and Dr. Octopus was screaming and then passed out from the pain. So that really is one of the most poignant moments, I think, in Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man.
You know why Spider-Man's so mad? He had the day off with his wife.
He had the day off with Mary Jane. Yeah, and so and we'll get to that, because he had intended to be gone maybe a couple hours tops. And it's funny. It's funny because he's like, these guys write this story and they're like, oh yeah, Spider-Man's in his apartment in New York. He's only going to be gone to see this guy in his building for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it takes you 2 hours to get anywhere in New York, let alone, if you've got a meeting, that's probably your plans for the first 5 hours of the day, 75% of which is getting there.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway. So Spider-Man rips off his wings, tears apart his gauntlets, knocks his helmet off, and it just kicks his butt. And finally, it's not even the Beetle anymore. It's just Abner Jenkins, who looks, who has the same haircut as Quentin Beck.
Yeah.
Mysterio, that same Mo Howard bowl cut, I give up thing. And he's telling Spider-Man, he's like, look, dude, I give up. Why did the arranger try to set this up? Why did he want us dead? And Spider-Man, swings away, to take Beetle to jail. And Beetle at the end, he's like wondering, he's like, maybe Spider-Man is as tired of everything as me. He seems really high strung. Maybe he needs a vacation, but no, the entire thing was Spider-Man had a finite amount of time off along with Mary Jane today. And they were literally just going to do what grown-ups do when they love one another.
Yep.
And that was all they wanted to do.
Fight and scream and throw things at each other.
And instead, Spider-Man had to go and fight Beetle.
Yeah.
Obviously, the decision at the end of this, without a doubt, it's Spider-Man. I mean, like the Beetle from the get-go, all he's trying to do is get away.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want to fight. And I feel bad for the Beetle in a way that you almost feel. Remember that one great issue where Harry as the Goblin and same book, same artist. I can't remember who wrote that. Was that Damon Tace now? Or Conway? Anyway, remember when Spider-Man kicked the Rhino's butt up and down?
Yeah, that was spectacular. Spider-Man like 190, wasn't it?
We've covered it as
I remember it
as on Friday Night Fights before. It's a terrific fight, but eventually you start feeling bad for the Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
because Spider-Man just just goes ham on this dude, you know. So you almost feel bad for all. I say almost because the Rhino in that issue was trying to hurt Peter Parker. After all,
Yeah.
the Beetle in this issue at one point looked at Joy Mercado and said, "Okay, I guess I'll kill you first."
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's impossible to feel too horrible for them. So I don't know. But you still, I mean, it's kind of a sad fight.
Yeah, no doubt.
Beetle just wanted some, sell some diamonds, get away, and retire, maybe.
Yeah, Spider-Man just wanted an evening with his wife.
Yeah,
but the two collided. Cute little ending with Spider-Man coming home after dark. Mary Jane snoring. He was like, "Oh man, I don't want to wake her up," but she grabs him by the ear and roll credits.
Yeah. Door closes.
Door closes, and you know what that means in Spider-Man's land.
Yeah.
So, judgment goes to the not judgment. This isn't a court. The fight goes to Spider-Man, obviously. Decision. Yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
JR, thoughts on this one? Remember it? You liked it?
Well, I tried to go to Marvel Unlimited so I could follow it along as George narrated, and it's not available on Marvel Unlimited.
There's a lot of spec not available, but good fun issue that I probably have not read since 1990. So, all right, another fun one. We'll be back in July. Okay, there you go. All right, YouTubers, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we will be back. The fans were asking, are we going to do Spider History? Yes, we are. We've got May and June. We're going to record 2 at once, like we just did Fight Club. So go to youtube.com/Spider-Man Crawlspace, subscribe, and you will get a notification in about 10 minutes when we're live. So all 16 members, please join us then. All right, we'll be right back.